Formula One Drive to Survive is very popular with new fans. Me personally, I like it for what it is. Is it made for me? No, not really, but that comes from someone who's watched F1 since like 2003, 2004. So what I thought I'd do is I'd give Netflix some ideas of do some classic seasons of Drive to Survive. So basically anything before like 18 first season Drive to Survive came out. So anything for that season's fair game. So I'm going to give 5 seasons I think Drive to Survive should cover, because when someone mentions they're a Drive to Survive fan, everyone is going to assume they don't really have any wheel knowledge, as it were, in the F1 Twitter world. So why not we give some of these Drive to Survive fans some wheel knowledge and let them do this and, see how that goes then. So 5 seasons I'd like to see Drive to Survive cover for you new fans, because I think these seasons are incredibly interesting or just very exciting. But before we get into the video, like and subscribe, because I get really annoyed that I have to say that right at the beginning of a video, because, some of you don't watch the video all the way through. So if you could watch all the way through the video, that would be greatly appreciated. And also, if you like this video, like it. And if you like my other content, subscribe. Just do it. Right, number 5 is 2012. This is my favourite season of Formula One of all time. Yep, even better than 2021. I think this one could do very, very well. We've got obviously the title fight between Vettel and Alonso. We have Sergio Perez. This was back when he pretty much first started out. So we've got him, as a shining light. You got Kimi Räikkönen returning to Formula One after, a 3-year absence. You got Pastor Maldonado winning at Spain. You've got, all the problems with McLaren and, Hamilton thinking about, moving on and joining Mercedes, which which shocker, he did do. I wonder how he's getting on now. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I think that the Hamilton Mercedes McLaren storyline, I'm saying it like that, that could be like a couple episodes on its own. What else we've got? You got Roman Grosjean getting a race ban because he crashed way too much. Obviously, Spain and Maldonado. You've got Fernando Alonso taking that absolute dog of a Ferrari all the way to the last race and almost winning the title. And you also got Michael Schumacher's last season as well. There's a lot of stuff there that I think, Drive to Survive, they could easily get 10 episodes out of for 2012. And that is why it's on this list. And it's the most, let me just check my list. Yeah, it's the most recent season on my list, because I think everyone who's watched Formula One for a very, a long time, I know everyone raves about 2021. 2012, I'd argue, is even better. Not to mention some of the races like Malaysia, obviously Brazil at the ending, Abu Dhabi 2012 with Vettel's comeback through. I think he started in the pit lane if I remember correctly. Some of the races in there, they could do one episode of them as well. Number 4 is 2003. This one is at the height of the Schumacher era of F1, but this is the one that you could say Ferrari and Schumacher, but they almost lost it. Obviously, we've got, I think with this one, obviously you've got, Ferrari and Schumacher. You get an episode or 2 out of that. You've got the emergence of Kimi Räikkönen as a title contender. You've got Juan Pablo Montoya coming on strong as well, because he was a title contender up until America or something like that, because America was quite late in the season at that point. What else have you got? You've got Giancarlo Fisichello's incredible win at Brazil. I'm not going to dive too much into that, but that's an episode on its own as a whole. You've got Britain 2003 as well. That is you could easily get an episode out of that by far, with a certain thing that happens in that race, which if you've seen 2022 Silverstone Grand Prix, you know all about. You probably heard of that before. But yeah, 2003, it is if they were going to do anything from the Schumacher era, they have to do, I think they do this one first, because it is the closest one in terms of title. And I think it probably keep audience's attention maybe a little bit more than something like 2002 or 2004. So that is why I've got 2003 on this list. Number 3, I got 1994. Obviously, the element of tragedy with Senna, which I do think they would cover that, but maybe not as much as probably because we got it in the Schumacher documentary a couple years ago, and also we've got the whole Senna movie as well. But there's far more to 1994 than just the passing of Senna and the passing of Ratzenberger as well. But, you know, we've got the whole... You could do, like, the start of 94 with, you know, the Williams not being as good as it is and Benetton coming on strong. Was it... Belgium, 94, with Schumacher getting... getting disqualified and having a race ban. Jos Verstappen's amazing pit stop fire. And then, obviously, you've got Damon Hill, you know... I think they could do like a great parallel in this. If they were to do 94, they could do a great parallel with what Damon Hill did in 94 and what Graham Hill did with 96, which is picking up the pieces from his team when the legendary teammate unfortunately lost their lives. They could do something with that, you know, moving on, you know, with Damon winning one in Spain. And obviously, like, the big overcast of this season, which I haven't talked about much, is the Option 13 launch control on the Benetton, which they could easily get. I think they could get a couple episodes out of that, I'm sure, with it, you know, picking up steam and then it actually becoming, like, official. And then actually get over why Benetton didn't get excluded eventually, because it was there, it was software, but they didn't use it, or they couldn't prove that they used it. And then, obviously, you've got Japan 94, Damon's, I'd say his best race ever. And then you've got Adelaide 94 to round off it with that very controversial incident between Schumacher and Hill. But that's it for 1994. But again, with all of these seasons, like, there's so much stuff. There's stuff they could work with. I'm just giving a general overview of what they could do. Like, you know, Drive Survive, they love to focus on, like, midfield teams. You know, they can by far do some midfield stuff with all of these seasons, particularly 2012 with Perez as well, and also Maldonado and Williams, because you can't mention about Williams winning enough. But moving on to second place, 1982, which, you know, it does share similar topics or, like, peaks of interest with 1994. But I'd argue 1982 is far more interesting. Obviously, we have the unfortunate passing of Gilles Villeneuve at Zolder, and then obviously the career-ending crash of his teammate Pironi at when both of them at Ferrari. But the one overarching thing that they could do, topic they could do with 1982, at least for, like, they could get, like, 3 episodes out of this, maybe 4 if they want to stretch it out. And this is, like, right at the beginning of 82 is the FISA-FOCA war, which is in summary, it's all the independent teams which are aligned with Bernie Ecclestone, who is the head of FOCA, which is the Formula One Constructors Association, I think that's it. And then you have FISA, which is a bunch of French words that I don't know how to pronounce, which is headed by Jean-Marie Balestri and is filled up with all the manufacturers, which is Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, and Renault, if I remember correctly. There might be a fourth one, but those are the big 3. So you have the manufacturers versus the independent teams. They could easily get 3, maybe 4 episodes out of that, because obviously you've got, like, the disqualifications at the beginning of the season at Brazil, or was that the second race? First, the second race. You got the water cooled brake fiasco, and then to top it all off, like the cherry on top of a cake, if you will, is the San Marino Grand Prix boycott by the majority of the FOCA line teams, and then obviously in San Marino as well, you've got the whole spat with Pironi and Villeneuve, where the team orders mumbo jumbo came out, in which Pironi or Villeneuve, depending on who you ask, ignored team orders and they raced each other. And Villeneuve wasn't very happy about that, and he unfortunately took that anger to Zolder, where unfortunately we lost his life. But also with 1982, we got Monaco. I think that is like they could do the final like 5 or 10 laps of that 82 Monaco race, easily get an episode out of that. No idea who was going to win that until, was it the last lap? Genuinely, around Monaco, you did not know who was going to win the Monaco Grand Prix. Very hard for some recent F1 fans to hear, I know, but it did happen. And then, obviously, you've got just the entire season. Like, no driver in 82 won more than 2 races. That was it. And then the championship winner only won 1 race. I'm not going to say who it was because, spoiler alert, obviously, for a season that is 41 years old. God, I'm old. Obviously, I'm not like oddly 40. I'd look very good for I'd obviously look very good for 40 plus, but I'm not. But yeah, 1982, you've got FISA Foca War, you've got Villeneuve versus Pironi, you've got a great title fight, I'd argue. Also, you've got the end of one of my favourite eras of Formula One, which is the ground effect era, and I'd like for them to, talk about why that era suddenly come to an end and explain that to new fans. I think, again, this is the earliest year that I've got on my list, so I think it'd be great for new fans to experience what Formula One, as someone who loves the history of Formula One, experience, stuff from the 80s. I put, give me some of your, if you're still here watching the video, give me some of your, not you new fans, you older fans, if you do watch Formula One and have done for a long time, what, seasons you'd like to see be covered. But now we get to number 1, is 2007, because this has three overarching season-long anime plot lines, which are the rookie year of Lewis Hamilton. Like, what an incredible rookie season he had. I wonder how well he's doing now. Or how many championships he went on to win and stuff like that. I wonder how he's getting on. We got that. We have what is it? The ongoing. Technically, we got 4 actually. Thinking about it, one of them just escaped my head, but I've gone with another one. We've got obviously the McLaren rivalry of Hamilton and Alonso. We've got Kimi Raikkonen at Ferrari, but the big one is Spygate, which is a whole different topic in itself. If you're a new fan and you want to know what that is, there's a couple of videos on YouTube that go over Spygate. It is an incredible story. It's just incredible how it all played out as well. Again, I love Spygate's that is just one of my favorite things in Formula One history in general. And just how it all played out is super, super interesting. And obviously the end result is, well, it's interesting. I'll say that much. But what other stuff have we got in 2007 other than Hamilton versus Alonso and Spygate and Kimi at Ferrari? We've got, I'd say, they could easily do, a fall from grace from Honda, with them winning their first race in 2006 and then getting beaten by their, essentially what was B team at the time. They could easily do an episode on that. They could do a couple episodes on BMW and Kubica recovering from that massive crash at Canada, which, if you haven't seen that, is a prime example of how safe F1 has become, even back then. What else have we got? You could do an episode later on in the series about the emergence of well, this new driver, I don't know if you've heard of him before. His name's Sebastian Vettel. You might have heard of him, you might not have. They could do an episode on that. They could do an episode on, God, what else could they do? They could just literally just focus on McLaren versus Ferrari and Spygate throughout the whole season, and that would just sell. That really would just sell it. Like, you've got, what races do you have? You've got Europe 2007 with the legend himself, Marcus Winkelhock, leading in a Spiker, which is the equivalent of like an AlphaTauri or Williams today. What other great races are there? You've got Hungary 2007, but the qualifying for Hungary 2007 is incredibly spicy and is basically the climax of Spygate, if you will. What else? You've got Brazil 2007, which is the last race, but I think another one that they could easily do for an episode and just focus on Hamilton is China 2007. I'm not going to say any more than that because I'm actually still quite annoyed about that race still. That was back when I was a Hamilton fan, and I respect him now, but China 2007 still irks me to this day. But that is going to do it for this video. Again, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. But first, you got to like it, then check out my content, and then subscribe if you like my other content. I shall see you all in the next video. And to all those subscribers who just came from that Prime Show that I did, hi and goodbye. But please stay, please.